In this video, I'm going to walk you through Lesson 7 of Unit B.1 from Open Syed. This is the lesson where we play the Serengeti game, the board game. And there's a lot of controversy over this lesson because the game takes a really long time to play. And we're really only developing one science idea, and that is that group behavior is beneficial to both predators and prey. So it's all around that DCI element of group behavior. Now, I will say kids like playing the game. It takes a little bit of time to get them used to it, but I'm going to walk you through how to really build understanding of how to play the game as a class with the first round. And then you let students play the other 3 rounds on their own as you walk around and kind of support them. So let's jump in. First of all, we navigate into the lesson with this slide right here. They turn and talk, and we really navigate into thinking about maybe we should look at other predators as a limiting factor. We looked at food as a limiting factor in Lesson 6, but now we're going to look at predators as a limiting factor. Maybe that is something that is killing off the wildebeest. We're then going to discuss agent-based modeling and introduce the game agent. So let's look at that slide real quick. So agent-based modeling is based on computer simulations of complex systems. So it includes an environment, the agents, the rules that describe how the agents interact with the environment, and rules that describe how the agents interact with each other. So we're going to simulate a complex ecosystem, and that's what this learning set is about. We're adding complexity to the ecosystem. We're also going to introduce the game agents, and we're going to use these different cards to help us understand a little bit more about not only that agent and their background, but also about how those agents are going to interact with the game. So here's the first one. This is the lion. Let me go ahead and open up this handout. So you can see that Meet Your Lion has some information about the lions and how they live in the Serengeti, and they're called African lions, and some facts about them. Then there's going to be this first table, initial conditions, and this is about how to set up the game board. And I think I would not suggest doing this right now. I think I would just have them read about it and know that they're going to add 28 tokens to the game board. These are the types of tokens. And then they're going to, in this connected behaviors column, they're going to explain how each behavior connects to the rule. So how does this rule connect to real behaviors in the wild? So here's their behaviors right here. How does that connect to this rule? So we're showing how this model simulates the real life of what's happening in the Serengeti. In Table 2, you will see that they will start to read about some more rules of the game. They're going to draw a life card, and they're going to follow instructions. They're going to either gain or lose a token, and they're going to record it in their data table. And they're going to talk about what connected behaviors this could connect to in real life up here. What are some life events? They basically can give birth at different times of the year, and any other behaviors that might be in a life event card. You can even show them these life event cards, and that can help connect the behaviors. This is how they're going to move. And so they're going to move one space in any direction, and they're going to move it to a place next to a wildebeest because they're going to hunt wildebeest. And if your tokens are in a good position, they can hunt from where they are. There's also a rule that they can move one space before they hunt, before the entire hunting event. When they hunt, they're going to roll dice, and they're going to line them up. And I'm going to go over these rules a little bit more in a minute, but again, they're going to make this connection to the behaviors, and the behaviors are up here. So the other cards are very similar. It goes through the rules of the game for the hyena and the wildebeest. And so they're going to connect those behaviors. They're going to see how this model connects to real life in the Serengeti. We're then going to discuss initial conditions and prepare to play the game. There is a slide here with your community norms. So to help everyone remember to be respectful and equitable and take your turns, you want to go over your norms before you play the game. And then we're going to set up the Serengeti board game. Now, it does say for everyone to set up the game all at once, but I will say I think it's a little bit easier to go through this using the slideshow that I will share with you next. And then there's data collection. And so you're going to review how they're going to collect data. So once they've read their information on their meet the lion or meet the hyena card, you can talk about how they're going to collect data, which is they're going to circle, whether it be a life event or a hunt, they're going to circle who wins and loses. And they're going to also, in that far right column, say if it is a +1 or a -1 in the wildebeest population for that event. They're also, here are the game instructions. I suggest you have one of these printed out at each station so that there can be somebody who can look at the game rules and make sure they're playing it correctly. So they're going to talk about the wildebeest setup, the hyena setup, the lion setup, how to play the game. There's 4 events that will happen in each season or each turn, and then how to roll the dice. It also kind of explains how to compare the dice. So this will also be in the slideshow, but this is nice to have at this station so they can reference it once they kind of move into their own playing of the game without you following along. Okay, here's the slideshow. This is actually a revision that was created after people struggled with the game. I love this slideshow. I suggest you go through this slideshow to help people set up the game and how to play the first round. Once you've done that, let them go for the other 3 seasons or the other 3 rounds on their own. You get as much done as you can. When the bell rings, you kind of need to be done. So you got to clean up before that bell rings. I would suggest you could probably go through all these rules. If you have a short period, do all the rules the day before you play, then walk in and go through this slideshow with them to set up the game board and start playing as quickly as you can. So let's go through this slideshow real quick. Okay, this is the title page. This is what the game board looks like. It's half of the game board. There are some links here so you can jump around into the slideshow with bookmarks to different slides. But let's start with this game overview. So here's the main gist of the game. It's designed for 3 players. I would suggest you have teams. So 2 people on each team to help kind of make sure everyone's doing this correctly, but also you don't have to set up as many game boards. There's no winning or losing. The purpose is to simulate wildebeest population change due to predator-prey interactions, although the kids kind of feel like they're trying to win even when they play. Each player in the game takes 1 role of the agent. So each team will be a lion, a hyena, or a wildebeest. So there's 3 teams. Oops. The game consists of 4 turns or seasons. So I'll show you the game board in a minute, but they're going to move from season 1 to season 2 to season 3 to season 4, the way the migration that we just determined in the earlier lessons happens in the Serengeti. So the first thing that happens is the wildebeest are going to migrate. In the first round, they're placed. That's your first migration. After the first round is done and all these 4 events are done, the wildebeest are going to move to the next section. The hyena and the lion are placed at the beginning. They never move. They don't migrate, so they already are in all territories when the game begins. Then each player pulls an event card. It's going to be in this order. Let me move my face. Wildebeest will pull first, then hyena, then lion. And so they're going to follow the directions, and whatever happens on that card, you're also going to record in the data table. And then hyena and wildebeest compete a hunting event first. So the hyena and the wildebeest, every hyena opportunity to hunt a wildebeest will be taken. And so this means that the hyena must be side by side, either to the right or left or up or down. There are no diagonal hunts. And so all of the hyenas that can hunt will hunt in a season. And then it will move to the lion and wildebeest, and all the lions will hunt. And I'll show you how that hunting works in a moment. After all 4 of these events are done, they move to the next season. Okay, now for the game setup. I would do this as a class. I know it says in the directions to have them set it up all at the same time because there seems to be some strategy for doing this, but I think it still works even if you do it one at a time. If you really are struggling with students following directions, I bet you don't, but I've had that problem before. Then I would walk them through, even with teachers, I need to walk them through one at a time. So the first one is, let's talk about the materials. The wildebeest are going to have 21 tokens. On their game card on Meet the Wildebeest, it talks about how many of the herd, how many of the small group, and how many of the individual tokens they're going to have. Same with the hyena, same with the lions. There's going to be event cards. There are 16. They need to be shuffled and text down. There's going to be 3 of one color dice and 3 of another color dice. If you only have 6 dice, a die of one color, that's fine, but it is a little easier to keep track of if you have 2 colors. And then you'll need the game data collection handout to record the what's happening at each event. I would probably say if you have teams of 2, you have 1 person record and 1 person doing the moving and the rolling. Okay, next, we're going to set up the wildebeest first. Now, the wildebeest are going to go in the green territories. You can see it's kind of slashed. That means they're on the grass. They're eating the grass. And so you can see that this is season 1 down here. The outline of the green is right here. That is going to be season 1. This is where they start their migration. Now, when they set up, all tokens must be touching one another. They cannot be diagonal spaces like this. They must be to the right or to the left or up or down. So I would use this to say, okay, wildebeest, set up your stations in round 1. Now, in the other rounds, the hyena and the lions are already going to be there. So when the wildebeest move, they're going to have the advantage of where they place their wildebeest. But in this first one, the wildebeest have the advantage of placing first. Okay, now we're going to have the hyena set up. Same rules apply here it talks about 8 individual tokens, 5 small group tokens, 9 clan tokens. And so they're actually going to put them in all of the territories, and they're going to be in the brown spots. Now, what is very important is that each territory, so each clump of brown, needs to have a clan token. So you cannot just have small groups and an individual in a brown area. You can see that every brown cluster must have a clan. Very similar to the lions, they're going to be in the yellow spaces. And you can see that every cluster of lion territory needs to have a pride token. So you can see there's a pride in every cluster or grouping of yellow. And they will have 14 pride tokens, 7 small groups, and 7 individuals. Okay, now that the game board is set up, let's talk about the gameplay. And I would use this to go through the first round with everybody. Okay, so wildebeest migration, we already did it. We're set up into the first round. And so this one is already checked off for this season. Now we're going to draw event cards. So let's go to that one first. Oh, here's the migration. Shows you where the turns are. Let me move my head again. So turn 1, turn 2, turn 3, turn 4. So when they're done with turn 1 with you, then they're going to go do turn 2 on their own, turn 3, and turn 4. If they forget what to do, there is that one game instructions that someone can read as they go through each season. Okay, so now we've got the event cards, and wildebeest is going to draw first. And then the hyena draws and applies an event card. Then the lion draws, and we're going to record any population change from the event cards on our data collection handout. Even if the event card is not your event card, you're still reading and applying the event action to your board. So a hyena can draw a lion card. A lion can draw a wildebeest card. Now, before hunting, because now we're going to move on to the hunting event, hyenas are going to hunt first. If desired, they can move individual or small group hyena 1 space. So they cannot move diagonally, but they can move to the right or left or up and down to a hunting position. Clans cannot hunt wildebeest. Only the individual or small group hyena tokens can hunt a wildebeest. And so you might want to move this to the left because you can't hunt on a diagonal. It's more like real life if they do get to move, because hyenas are obviously going to stalk their prey. All right, so now hyenas are going to hunt. They're going to roll the dice to determine the outcome. They're going to adjust their board based on the hunting outcome. So if it's the predator is successful, they're going to leave their hyena token and they're going to take the wildebeest token off the board. Once that hyena has hunted, flip it over because that means that that one is already done. They're actually going to hunt all the hyena hunting positions that are on the game board in that season before it moves on to the lion. If the predator is not successful, no changes are made to the board. Everyone just stays where they are. But you're going to record no matter what on your data table, the hunting interaction on the collection handout. Okay, so let's move on to the lions. Lions, again, have a chance to move one space before they hunt. Again, they cannot hunt in a diagonal position, and then they're going to hunt. So let's talk about rolling the dice. All of this is linked right here in the roll the dice, but I'm going to come down here. If you have a herd, wildebeest only will have this. They're going to roll 3 dice. If it's a small group, they're going to roll 2 dice. And if it's an individual, they're going to roll 1 dice because clans and prides can't hunt. They will never have the 3 dice opportunity. And this is actually why the simulation works, because herds will always have 3 dice, which gives them statistically more of a chance to be successful. So that's the key of the game right there. But we don't share that with students. But both predator and prey roll the dice and they line them up. And I'm going to show you that in a moment. They're going to compare them and the lower dice is removed. So let's just go ahead and look at this. So here you can see we've got the predator and prey. They both roll. They line them up from the lowest to the highest. So they compare the lowest ones together. This one wins, so it stays. This one loses because it's lower. It gets out of the next roll. On the other one, we've got the prey has the 4, the predator has the 3. So this one gets removed. This one gets re-rolled. So these 2 dice that survive roll again. We come over here, the second roll, the lower one is out, the predator wins. So we're just going to do this. Here's another example. You've got prey, which is the wildebeest. They're in a herd, so they've got 3 dice. The predator is a single individual, so they only have 1 die. Okay, so the second roll, again, this one we go in order from lowest to highest. This is their only roll. And so you can see that they beat them. So this one gets out, they roll again, predator's out, prey wins. So the prey has more chances of winning. Group behavior, it's going to be beneficial. Okay, that's basically it on how to play the game. I would use this slideshow to run through the first whole season and then let them do seasons 2, 3, and 4 on their own, get as far as you can. After we play the game, we're going to come back and discuss the main takeaway. This usually happens at the start of the next day. So we're going to navigate in by discussing the main takeaway. And here's the slide to support you in those prompting questions. Students should be starting to see that group behavior is beneficial. The main idea is that when predators hunted in groups, they were more successful. And when the wildebeest were in groups, they were less likely to get eaten. Now, we're going to really stamp this in the building understandings discussion that's going to come at the end of analyzing our data and developing some algorithms. But students can already kind of see that. And this is the main thing that needs to come out of this entire lesson, is that group behavior is beneficial. Now, we're going to analyze our data. There's a handout. Let's take a look at it. So you can see that they're going to, first of all, who was your agent? We're going to count up our number of interactions, the number of successful, and then we're going to calculate the percent of time successful. There are slides to kind of help walk through this. You can see that there is an example down here too of how to calculate a percentage. Divide the number of successful interactions by the number of interactions. So we're probably going to have to help them with a little math there. But what does it mean to be successful? How did group size contribute to success? So we're starting to understand that, okay, the herd was very successful, and the small groups were more successful than individuals if you were a hyena or a lion and you were hunting. And so we're starting to see that that's the pattern. And then we're going to develop algorithms. Now, remember, we started to already develop this back, I think it was in lesson 5. And I really suggested that you look at that if-then statement. Now, if you are not somebody who's familiar with algorithms, they are what computer scientists use to write code. And so we usually say, if this happens, then this will happen. If I press the H key, then the cursor moves up 3 spaces, something like that. So if you have any computer scientist students in your room, ask them, what is an algorithm? And it's generally just directions that a computer follows, and it's most often pretty mathematical. So we're going to write some algorithms based on the data that we collected. Now, this can be a little complicated, and I will say, I don't know if you really need to drill this down to make sure everyone gets how to do this mathematically. But what you really want to make sure students know is that algorithms are an if-then statement. Computer scientists can use them. It's a computational model that we can use, and we can put numbers into this if-then statement. That's like the gist of it. Okay. But there are several things that you will go through. There are slides to support you, but I know a lot of teachers really struggle with this. Algorithms are in the standards, but I don't know if you really need to go deep into the numerical algorithms, but they need to know what they are, definitely. So we develop algorithms in words and numbers, and there's also a system model we develop of like inputs and outputs. And so we have, and these are other computer science words. We've got what goes into the system, what comes out of the system. It's also what we use in modeling. So we've got an individual wildebeest. There's an interaction, and the wildebeest lives or dies. So this is how we kind of develop that -1 or 0. This is where teachers and students get confused. The wildebeest lives, 0 change. Wildebeest dies, -1 change. So do the best you can with this. We're then going to engage in a building understanding discussion about the evidence that supports group behavior as the explanation for different outcomes in predator-prey interactions. And we add to our personal glossary a definition, we co-construct a definition about group behavior. So that's about it for this lesson. It's a big lesson. There's a lot of prep. It's a lot of setting up for the game, and the game takes a long time to play, but students do really enjoy it. Just, give yourself grace, do the best you can. And remember, the main idea to pull out of this is that group behavior is beneficial. All right, good luck, and watch the materials video to talk about the setup.